Hey, I'm Mattyd, and here's a review of the Doki Doki Literature Club mod, The Normal Visual Novel. This is a great mod to play if you've just finished the canon game. In fact, I recommend it as the first mod to play after you finish Doki Doki Literature Club. It is very pleasant and nice and easy to get a good ending with the Doki you choose. So first, let me say, I have always been a fan of the classic rock band Yes. And if you've played this mod, then you are too.
Wait, what? You haven't played it yet? Aw, for fuck's sake!
Stop! This video has spoilers. If you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club, do it now. It's free and the whole thing takes about 4 hours to complete start to finish. A great game totally worth your while. Then play the normal visual novel. Alright, that's out of the way. Ready? Good. This is my frank and unfiltered review of the Doki Doki Literature Club mod, The Normal Visual Novel. The Normal Visual Novel is a mod that takes away Acts 2, 3, and 4 of the canon DDLC game, and gives you an Act 1 with some slight alterations, and an Act 2 where your focus is now courting your Doki girlfriend. I encountered no real conflicts, hurdles, or tragedies, and after playing the canon DDLC game, that's pretty welcome for the needed healing process. The emotional issues the girls face from canon are still essential parts of this story, but fortunately not in any crisis-inducing manner. The Normal Visual Novel kinda feels like playing a game on easy mode, but that's okay. It's nice and cutesy. And the mod is very moe-y. Moe-y? Wait. Okay. The mod is very, but it does get pretty bawdy at times. Any loot that's found comes at the very end of each Doki's path and is not visual, so if you're looking for porn or hentai, you're going to want to look elsewhere.
Porn? On the internet?
What you will find in the normal visual novel are very pleasant, short paths to date and be with the Doki of your choice. And when I say short, I'm talking about 40 minutes from start to finish for each path once you hit Act 2. That's it. Apparently there are bad endings, but I never found one. All my endings with each Doki ended up in and around the lake, wink wink. And in Sayori's route, when I went back to a save to try to see a bad ending, the mod told me nope, and guided me back to the good path ending. The Sayori path does abruptly go into a very dark direction at one point at the rewritten end of Act 1, and it's out of the blue and jarring against the sugary Doki theme music, but it quickly brings you back to shallower waters. And all roads still lead to Rome, as they say. When you start the mod, it asks if you want to skip Act 1, and jump right to the point where you, the main character, choose which Doki you want to pursue. You miss all the poems and cutscenes, and you're right at the spot where you decide which Doki you'll do festival preparations with, so you get to get right to it, as in a normal visual novel, which is a very cool feature. For me, I played all the Act 1s for each Doki. I rushed through the scenes not involving the particular Doki I was wooing at the moment. I find that personally, it helps me with the immersion to go back to the initial emotions I had when I first played the canon Doki Doki Literature Club, before all the bad stuff. But then again, I'm not normal. I mean, I like to go all out. With Yuri, I made a nice cup of oolong tea, I had a few chocolates, I got the incense burning. With Natsuki, I had cupcakes. You get the idea. And I'm glad I did replay all the Act 1s, because there are some subtle dialogue changes in all of the paths. Oh, and do not skip Act 1 if you are pursuing Monika. There are some original cutscenes with her in Act 1 that you'll miss. So if you choose not to skip Act 1 and pursue Monika, you actually get to write mini-game poems to her. Something you didn't get to do in the canon game. She has several unique and obvious words that are hers, and some words that are actually borrowed from the other Dokis. And that's when I discovered something. In the poem writing minigame in the normal visual novel, when you mouse over a word, the chibi Doki attached to that word reacts. This was cool. I totally felt like I was cheating, but nonetheless it's an excellent mechanic to assist us on the correct path that was absent in the canon game. It's also subtle enough to ignore if you want to test your skills on guessing which words appeal to which Doki. Just keep in mind, some of the other Doki words are now attributed to Monika. There are also new and unique poems from Monika, and they're pretty good, which actually was a problem for me, and here's why. Now again, I'm not normal. If you watched my review discussion on the canon Doki Doki Literature Club game, where I delve into Monika's circumstance and I dissect her poems, Hole in Wall, Save Me, and Hole in Wall 2, you've probably deduced that I'm someone that actually appreciates poetry. I've actually written a lot of poetry, so seeing these new poems, I personally had to be careful not to read too much into them, especially after the canon DDLC game with the multitude of hidden in plain sight clues in Monika's poems, and the throwaway lines throughout Act 1 and 2 that later come back to bite you. This mod works great for people who have a favorite or best Doki, and also for people who are in the all Doki are best Doki camp. All the girls' paths are similar, so feel free to play one path as a standalone, or play all the paths in series. The fun of it is that even though the events in each path are similar, the Doki's personalities really shine through, and the different ways they react is especially quite charming. I'm reminded of the scene with the uncombed hair, and especially where main character is sick and needs a tissue, and the tissues are on his desk next to his computer, and also next to a bottle of lotion. That scene in particular is really well done, and so very funny when separately played played by both Yuri and Natsuki, and how they react in their own personalities. If I had to say anything negative, and the raging mob outside says I do, because the paths are short, the relationships do feel rushed and clumsy in places. We become boyfriend and girlfriend rather quickly, right at the end of Act 1 after the festival preparation, as a matter of fact, so only after 3 or 4 days. Then the dating in Act 2 really focuses on getting together on Sundays, and oftentimes we skip an entire week with Sundays being back-to-back. There is one nice scene in each path where we have a class with our Doki, which keeps the story going nicely, and in my humble opinion, when the story gets to the point where there is nothing between our Sundays, it feels like we miss out on some of the anticipation. Kinda made me feel like I wish the mod would use the clutch a bit more. Again, if this is the first mod you're playing after the canon Doki Doki Literature Club game, and the canon game messed you up, like it did me, then this is fine. There's panacea in simple and pleasant. If you've played other mods, it may feel a bit faster than you're comfortable with, or maybe it was just me. Number 2, the mod has some editing issues. On the Natsuki path, we're missing a scene, but the dialogue references it. We never go to Sayori's bedroom, but main character remembers the conversation at the end of the baking scene. We bake cupcakes with her for festival, and then we're surprised at festival. What a good job she did baking the cupcakes for the festival. At one point, we're sitting on bed with Natsuki, and we call it the couch. And then also at the end of Act 1, we're very worried about Sayori, that she's gonna kill herself, and then we're like, nah, she's fine. And that's immediately followed by, I can't believe this, Sayori's coming to my house on Sunday. And then we go to Sayori's house. There's a couple of background misplacements. We're in our bedroom with Sayori, and then we decide to go upstairs to our bedroom, and another one where you and Doki are outside, but the background is still the bedroom. And there's also just a couple of rough transitions, like when we're in literature class and we decide to let Yuri help. There's also a few places where the music shifts to fit the mood, but then it doesn't quite shift back quickly enough. Now, none of these, or even all of these, are a deal breaker. It's a good mod, and you definitely should play it. As when I finished a path, I wanted to bask in the emotional connection and wait before starting another path, just to enjoy and reflect on the time with that Doki, which alone tells me the game is good. But these small issues do break the immersion for the player, and I think that this and the short length of each path is the reason I didn't get as passionately involved in this mod, as I did in, say, the Purist mod, for example. Then again, Purist mod had a lot of people working on it, and this mod is basically one dude, unless I'm mistaken. Anyway, I think all of these issues are easily remediable. I saw that the author is working on a 2.0. Hopefully all these issues will get fixed, and I, for one, will be in line to find out. Also, the writer does take some liberties with the Doki's personalities at one point that feel kind of out of left field. So in Act 2, the festival doesn't go well, because we forgot our poem for the performance. Monika is painted as a first-class bitch, and Sayori has a moment where she is a sarcastic instigator, picks a fight, and then pours gasoline on the fire. Natsuki and Yuri are, well, they're Natsuki and Yuri. I gotta say, the choice of language used, especially by Monika, is off-putting. Remember, Sayori is the eternal peacemaker and self-subjugated whipping post. Even when Monika was murderizing the club members in canon, she was still polite and professional. So suddenly seeing them acting so non-idiomatically, I immediately had a who are these girls and what have you done with my Dokis moment. I got why the writer chose this scene, as a nod to a Monika-Sayori conflict that happens later on the Monika path, and highlights her jealousy, as well as in the flashback where we find Monika has really busted her ass for the festival. But I think it would have been just as effective with Monika's lines being a little bit less of a blunt weapon. Remember, she is fantastic at language, and maybe Natsuki tricking Sayori into pouring gas on the fire. Now, even though I mentioned all those things, the mod is still really fantastic, and I do highly recommend you play it. And if you pay attention, there is quite a lot of humor, like when Monika says she'll play fair, and we respond, there's no need for that. There's lots of JoJo references, and there's many inside jokes referencing canon DDLC, DDLC memes, and stuff that I've seen on the DDLC Reddit sub. I especially liked Boop, and the one about Sayori's living room and kitchen looking strangely familiar. Wait, to be continued. Oh yeah. Hey, I hate asking for comments, likes, and subscribes, but honestly, it's the only way I know if this is worthwhile doing to anybody, or if I should put pants on and go mow my lawn. So please subscribe, and hit the little bell for updates. And if there's something you want to see me get my paws all over, or if you have an opinion, let me know in the comments. I read them all and try to respond as well.